What's up, everyone? It's your boy Norman Radd89 here, bringing you another Radd movie review today. Continuing the Exorcist review series, is now we're going to be talking about Exorcist: The Beginning from 2004. And I'm sorry, preface right off the bat, right away, I'm sorry it took me a while to get specifically this review out and Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist. I did a double feature and watched both of those films back to back, and I highly recommend don't ever do that to yourself. Oh, these two films literally ripped my heart out with how awful that experience was just watching both of them back to back. So like I said, don't do it, because then I just didn't really want to even talk about them after that. So I had to kind of give it a few days to marinate. But like I said, today we're going to talk about Exorcist: The Beginning from 2004. So let's get down to this. Roll it. Exorcist: The Beginning from 2004 is a prequel to the Exorcist film. It follows Stellan Skarsgard as he plays a young Father Merrin who has renounced his faith after just a horrible experience that he had in World War II. And because of those events and the trauma that he's going through and everything, he, like I said, renounced his faith. And now he's just kind of an archaeologist going around in Kenya, and he's digging up an ancient church out there. He ends up running into a girl named Sarah, who is a former concentration camp survivor. So that in itself kind of activates other triggers with him and stuff like that. And then again, we have to also talk about a little bit of pre-production when it comes to this film, is that this was tooled and completely done as a completely different film. They did the Dominion film first with a different director and all that kind of stuff, had that edited, shot, put it out for, I think it was like a screening or screeners, and it got horrible reviews in terms of early screeners. So what they did was they hired Rennie Harlan, the production company, brought him in to do reshoots just to add some more gore moments and some more exciting moments into the third act and stuff. And Rennie basically convinced them to redo the movie again. And this is kind of like said, skeleton-wise, it's a very similar plot, both of these films. But today we're talking about Exorcist: The Beginning, which is Rennie Harlan's version that has more action, more gore in it and stuff. And that's probably, like I said, right into the positives. Let's sprinkle some positives in there, because I don't want to just dump you with negatives on these films. That I think Rennie Harlan does bring a little bit of style to this film. You can see where there's edits and where they kind of just pulled stuff in, but in terms of the style, the flair, more gore, more horrifying moments, this actually feels like a horror movie. You got to give it props to Rennie, because when you watch Dominion, it fucking does not feel like a horror movie at all. Another thing I want to praise about this one is the look of it. I like the look, the saturation, the colors. They do change it. When you watch Dominion and Exorcist: The Beginning, that's probably clear cut. One of the biggest things about it is this one looks darker. It looks dreary. It looks, like I said, depressing kind of, compared to the other one is very brightly lit and very just it has moments in it of shocking horror stuff and gore, but it's just not as much. And like I said, Exorcist: The Beginning, I praise it because of that. Like I said, it has more horror moments, it has a style and a flair to it, and it looks more interesting to me. But that's kind of all I really have for positives with this one. So let's get into the laundry list of negatives that I have for this film. One key thing we got to talk about is the god-awful CGI. I can't stand that. When you have a film that, yes, 2004, this was kind of early kind of computer effects and CGI. So of course it was that era where the imaginations of our writers and directors, it kind of was ahead of our technology. It hadn't caught up yet. So there's just some really awful CGI moments. I'm talking specifically with animals in this film, and it's specifically hyenas. They look terrible, freaking terrible, laughable, old computer graphics or PlayStation 2 type graphics. Another negative we got to talk about is the performances in here. I think there are some characters that kind of land, like Sarah. I think her character does absolutely fine. I have no problem with her character. But Stellan Skarsgard, you can tell he's a seasoned actor. He's really good. And in this film, and even in Dominion, I just don't feel like he is Father Merrin. He doesn't feel like that character, and I know he's supposed to be Father Merrin at a different point in his life, but I just don't think Skarsgård feels like that character. It doesn't ooze the Father Merrin persona, and I think Stellan Skarsgård actually kind of half-ass walks into this role and just kind of really didn't give it that much effort. I've seen him act. He's a great actor, and in these films, I would say he kind of just walk through it, you know what I mean? And like a little bit, like I thought, just kind of half-assed it. Another thing we got to discuss is, like I said, when you talk about how this was a completely different film before they brought Rennie in, you can see that aspect of the film. There's edits and there's clips and parts in this movie where you're kind of a little bit confused. People get to certain places without us finding out how, and some characters come into the film and they're just not really introduced. Like they come into the third act and then they're almost gone within like 10 minutes status. Like there's just all these spots in the film where you can tell it was chopped and put together, kind of like, like a Frankenstein experiment. It was like somebody had a puzzle, multiple puzzle pieces, and they mixed up the two puzzles and they put a puzzle together, but it has pieces from both and they look different, but it does fit. But you can tell all the spots where it's a different puzzle piece from the other puzzle. So that's what I mean. That's the best way to describe how this film is. Another negative is, despite the fact I like the Sarah, the actor, the character and everything and what she does with that, there is some stuff that goes down in the third act that is very much shoehorned in. You can tell this is like, they were like, oh, we have to make it seem like it's an Exorcist prequel. It has to involve or do with Pazuzu. And it sucks because this film, it always found it to be misleading, where I thought this was the story where Father Merrin saved our character from Exorcist 2. Like I thought it was going to be James Earl Jones's character. That I always thought that's what this prequel was about. Even when I watched it back in the day, I still get confused because I'm watching it and I want it to be about Kakumo and like all that stuff and Father Merrin's experience with him and saving his life. And it's not about that at all. It's a completely different other origin story for the origins of Pazuzu that, like I said, got shoehorned into the third act. So as you can tell, Exorcist the beginning has a lot going against it. Rennie Harlan definitely tried. He did his best effort to try to manage this and salvage this experience and make something out of this movie. But you can tell, like, all the glue and the spots and, like I said, the puzzle pieces from the other puzzle, you can just tell while you watch this film. And in terms of a Radd rating for Exorcist the beginning, this bad boy is going to get a 5 out of 10. This is just a mediocre film, you know what I mean? It's nothing too spectacular, but it's not completely god-awful. It is literally just middle-of-the-road stuff. And Dominion is going to be a little bit lower in terms of ranking or rating, but like that's what I mean, having both of these together and double featuring them and watching them together. Like I said, I highly recommend you do not do that. Thanks for sticking around with me all for this video. I hope you like my thoughts on Exorcist the beginning. Please share your thoughts for the film down below if you've seen it, or just your thoughts on the Exorcist series. Are you enjoying this review series? I would love to discuss with you. But like, share, all that jazz, that definitely helps out the channel. But most importantly, I want y'all to if I could speak. Most importantly, I want y'all to have a safe and happy day. Peace out.